3,000 hours of Elite Dangerous, 7 years since my last update, new expansion for the game that drew incredible amount of positive hype, Space Legs, finally! And later, not just nearly killing the game itself, but the community due to the horrible execution. Then more stagnation until one day, a new monetization push and new content! And the revitalization of the game, 10-year anniversary, and TheYamiks face reveal, reaching the illustrious 100,000 subscribers. And so, yeah, quite a lot has happened in this time. So, let's take a look at this, the most immersive space sim, shall we? Speaking of immersion, what better way to experience and immerse yourself in a game but with a VR headset? Luckily, today's sponsor, TheYamiks, can help you with that. In fact, right now they're running a special deal for PC VR upgrade, where you can submit your old VR gear and get a special discount for your next VR gear from their selection. And since TheYamiks has been a player in VR headspace for quite some time now, they're offering some really interesting headsets, 4K resolution per eye being probably one of the more impressive ones. So, if you want to check out their offerings, check out the link down below and use my code for extra discount. Also, for the month of November, TheYamiks is having a Black Friday sale, so here's your chance to pick up something on a discount. Well, now looking back at my old video, it's kind of funny how forgiving TheYamiks was, how unchanging Elite was, and what would follow in the next years. But first, the 3,000 hours. How can someone actually play a game for this long? Well, the answer as always is horribly long grind. No, seriously, as much as we can praise Elite for genuinely great experience, UI being really cool, and immersion overall being one of the best to let you feel that spaceship captain vibes, it's really hard not to point to just how everything takes so goddamn long to do, be it upgrading your spaceship or getting to a point A from point B. Now, of course, for me it's a little bit different. As a content creator, I'm basically either doing this or this. And even with all the negatives I have about the game, there still persists that reason to boot up the silly spacey shippy game and experience it. Yes, it's the experience itself. Now, more than anything, Elite's original approach to putting you in a pilot seat, giving you the reins, and smacking that space donkey on the ass, letting you fly everywhere and interact with the universe through that pilot seat is still a unique experience. And though yes, there is one or two very similar games to it, Elite is still the most finished one. Now, combat being the most depthful gameplay, at least in my view, in mechanics is still my favorite as well. And with those 3,000 hours under my belt, well, okay, fair enough, NPC combat poses zero challenge, with the exception of Targoid alien squashing, which, more than anything, I do recommend everyone try out. However, in the last 500 hours, I've noticed myself more and more drifting towards the PvP, due to unpredictable nature as well as a humbling and high skill ceiling. Happened! Uh-oh, your friend came in, and what he did? He did things! Can I get his thrusters out? That would be the funniest thing. Where are your thrusters? It's slowly become a way for me to try something new and learn something new. Usually ending up in my explosion, but hey, stream viewers enjoy it, so why not? Ah, there goes all my shields. Cool. There we go! It was a no contest already. Come on, let me just suicide. Come on, let's go. Fuck. Never mind. I wanted to ram for the end, but fine. As for trading, well, yeah, since my last update they did introduce the mining upgrades, and that was really nice, but the subsequent nerfs to the prices and everything just got annoying quickly. As for everything else, well, we got colonization, which is another reason to do trading, but generally, not much has changed, sadly. As for exploration, while still getting an upgrade alongside mining, is still a good pastime that brings a lot more color and vibrancy the closer you get to the center. And these days, you can actually find more stuff on the planets by just probing them, rather than back in the day where barely you could find anything, and even then you needed specific coordinate skimming. Jesus Christ, don't remind me. So then, if you're looking for a reason to jump for the first time into Elite, or return to it, well, go for it. It's a long slog to literally do anything, and don't be shocked when you see hundreds of hours slip past by. But that's kind of the thing, you don't need those hundreds of hours to have that experience, you can still have at least most of it in that starter Sidewinder. But if you're here for the real gameplay, then yeah, expect hundreds of hours. Okay, but what about my experience in the last 1000 hours since my last update? Well, oh boy, here comes the story and it gets twisted. Well, in this time there were 3 most notable events. First of which was the second expansion for the game, Odyssey release. Now, since I've extensively covered it, the main takeaways were as follows. There was a genuinely huge interest for the game generated due to the space lags, yes, the FPS gameplay getting implemented finally into the game, driving all-time highest peak player counts after a massive stagnation period. It looked like Elite would really go places, like seriously, dethroning even Star Citizen in some people's minds. However, the expansion was so poorly made, a literal MVP. And no, I'm not talking about the most valuable player, but a minimum viable product, with very little content in it, and all of it, well mostly at least, in FPS combat focus. And then of course there was developer fuck up after a fuck up, so yeah, safe to say it was really bad time. And to this day we still feel the ramifications of it. The game is split between 3 versions of the game and none of them can play together, despite developers promising it. Console versions development complete cancellation. Yes, my peasant brothers and sisters, I see you and I weep for you. Well, the new expansion also quote-unquote failed VR players, and so every time you go for a walk in Odyssey, you'll see this. So VR also got quote-unquote killed in a sense, even though there wasn't development, but regardless, the point is, it just sucks. So yeah, you can see how Odyssey fucked up now, and all in the name of releasing this shitty thing just before the company's fiscal end-of-year deadline. Yeah, I shit you not, look at these release dates. So for the next 3 years, the game languished pretty hard, developers seemingly abandoning the work after the first 9 months and finishing the expansion, and yes, even to this day, performance still is not matching to what they advertised. And I proved it! But granted, some small things did improve. For example, there were some passionate individuals in the dev team still, with the second Targoid war and motherships known as Titans appearing everywhere. Still, there was no Targoid on-foot combat, with the exception of reskinned skimmers. But okay, at least we got something spectacular in space. So for a year and some months, not much would be made for the game. Yeah, good to know I guess, but did the Jurassic Park game was so important to stall the development of Elite? Oh, okay, I guess it was. Yay, money! Yeah, looking at the company's share prices and their own financial reports, I'm honestly surprised that this damn franchise, a reskinned Planet Coaster, ended up the main pillar of the company afterwards. In recent times, in fact, the announcement for the 3rd game drove the stocks to get doubled, and again doubled after the release of the game. All the while Elite was still the lowest earner. Oh, maybe with the exception of F1, but they don't present the numbers for it. Oh, but speaking of profiteering, in the last 18 months, new ships for Elite Dangerous started appearing, as well as some real updates and features, like the colonization, a cut feature from Odyssey's launch, making a grand entrance. Powerplay finally getting remake and not being a shit anymore, and even hell, the squadrons getting some love. But regardless, now looking back at my 2000-hour coverage back in the day, I complained about monetization like this. But with 2.4 arrival, it was interesting for me to see the developers just can't wait to push microtransactions onto their customers. You know, putting the cart before the dead horse. You know, jumping the gun on the update and releasing said cosmetics for Chieftain before the ship was even playable while the servers were patching. You might think that this is a small nitpick, but to me it just showcases the avarice that comes with any new release these days. And I don't want to have this with the space game I enjoy. I want to support devs for making something good, but only after they delivered it. You know, how typically things should work. Boy, I can imagine the shock on my old self when I told him 6 years later, Elite would push the monetization for microtransactions even further than just cosmetics. Sadly, the most recent rejuvenation in Elite since Odyssey's failure, both in the interest of the game overall as well as the player base, didn't just arise through some good updates and good content. With a change in leadership for the company, yes, David Braben finally stepped down as the CEO. Perhaps this new CEO attempted to make every Frontier's property more profitable, after Frontier completely failed to become a publisher and closing the doors on that as well. But no matter the reason, where once Elite Dangerous sold a base game, an expansion called Horizons, additionally selling maybe some cosmetical items like ship paint jobs and visual additions like ship kits, in this time, during these 7 years, they also introduced monopoly money called ARCs, which is a medium between real money and in-game microtransactions. And of course, TheYamiks was TheYamiks and back in the day did call out this thing as exploitative. Well, because it is. However, that was nothing compared to the last 18 months, where no longer Frontier were selling cosmetical items, but also were releasing new ships, and alongside them selling ship packages, just like Star Citizen. No longer it was just cosmetic, but now you could swipe your credit card and instantly get whichever ship they were selling. Also, while locking the newest release ships behind 3-month exclusivity for those paid packages to incentivize purchases. And if for some reason you didn't catch it, yes, that's a FOMO practice. And I really wish I could just stop here, but just a few days ago, it got even worse. Frontier attempted to sell a unique space station for real money, $38 in fact, but unlike ships, this would be an exclusive for money purchases. Now, I don't think I need to reiterate what the recent changes, both ship packages and stations, actually are in a gaming term. I've done enough of it by now. Still, the backlash for the station, at the very least being paywalled, was so fierce that immediately Frontier had to walk that shit right back up and put the station, like the ships, as only a limited time exclusive. But to me, it really doesn't change anything. You could swipe your credit card for $38 and instantly build one. So I think you see the pattern by now, especially in the recent year. Frontier has pushed monetization, especially for microtransactions, far further than any other time in the game's development. And sadly, this time, we push that shit back, sure, but be no fool. They will try this again. In my 3000 hours, I've seen the game make questionable business and gameplay development moves, and as sad as it is to say, I see it only getting worse, and a lot more rapidly today. And while I'd like to end on a positive, once more the development for the game seems to be slowing down, with the last of 2015's features promised was getting a delay till early 2026, and revealed to be missions and environments for FPS combat, it seems. Well, I can't say I'm too excited about it, but at least it's somewhat in my wheelhouse. However, it's nothing compared to the monetization changes they've pushed on Elite. In fact, I fundamentally disagree with them so much that I decided to completely stay away from the game itself for about a year, just to see what would happen. And now, only a half a year later, after the return, honestly, I'm losing even more hope. But okay, let's finish up on something positive, right? It's been 7 years. Gods. Well, with many ups and downs, I've grown this measly little channel of 140,000 subscribers, 40,000 subscribers in these 14 years. Well, I didn't reach still my original 100,000 subscriber milestone, and of course, did a face reveal, and I got a YouTube plaque somewhere there. And of course, more importantly, you guys who supported me, I continue to make stuff for you, essentially, and thanks to you overall. I keep on pushing this. So big thanks to Patreon supporters, YouTube members, Twitch subscribers, and more for supporting. You're the reason why I continue pushing and beating this dead horse, if you will. And more importantly, why I'm so fundamentally opposed to these anti-consumer practices. And boy, oh boy, there are quite a lot of them now, more and more in Elite Dangerous. And let's not even talk about fucking Star Citizen, but that's beside the point. I'd like to see Elite go more towards the X4, if not No Man's Sky route, but yeah, it decided to go Star Citizen's route, and it will sadly get worse, regardless. But okay, we'll see in a 4,000 hour thing. And in which case, Elite still is the best space sim out there, certainly with the most immersive feel and the most finished gameplay, especially if you're playing on something like a VR, especially with a HOTAS. So please, Elite, don't fuck it up. Boom, boom.